Welcome back. It's Philip A. Croson with iamCREATUREscience at iamCREATURescience.com. Today we are in Group I of the Movement Master Database, and these are hip hinge swimmers. Hip hinge swimmers, first of all, I think in terms of strength, force production, this is one of the greatest things that a freestyle or breaststroke swimmer can do, hands down. But not just that, overhead athletes, pitchers, and anyone that really just wants to stand up again and be pain-free. Let's work on some swimmers. And the reason why is it promotes us to use the movement. It requires us, if done properly, it requires us to use smaller muscles that are easily overlooked, that are easily dominated by larger muscles like the traps. So we're going to get into the lower traps. We're going to get into the mid-rhomboids. Boys. We're going to get into the rear delts, but we're going to really get into the teres major, teres minor. Okay? Teres major, teres minor is going to help us create this external rotation of the humerus. It'll be a big player in abduction and carrying an eccentric load in adduction. And it'll even be a player in taking our hands off head. So when you think about the movement that we're doing, it's all of that. We're going to go into external rotation, abduction, remove overhead, this whole circumduction rotation. The posterior aspect of it is, in large part, the teres major and teres minor, shortening to really pull the head of the humerus into its glenohumeral socket, and while the other muscles are helping to move through the superior range of motion, it's still active, and then it's going to go into this lengthening phase in the eccentric letdown. So the hip hinge swimmer is really just going to make it more of a natural flow. You can do these standing as well, but I like the hip hinge swimmer because it feels like you're getting more reach because you're not fighting against gravity as much. So we're just going to take ourselves from the standing position to a hinged position. And all we want to do is really take that movement through there without making it so mechanical. Once you go into that initial external rotation, lock it in, you really kind of want to let the momentum take care of the rest. Don't try to be so slow that you actually mess the movement up, okay? Once you take it to that position, the body will kind of carry it on its own. But as we do it, alternating on each side, that reciprocal motion is actually stretching the thorax out, okay? It's stretching at the chest, it's stretching at the rhomboids, it's pulling us all the way apart, that momentum. So it's going to stretch the teres major, teres minor, meaning it's going to bring it to its optimal length, its max length, and we're going to have to transfer force through it. And the way you know you're doing it correctly is if your arms can stay completely straight. They can be completely locked out from the shoulder through the elbows, the wrist to the fingers. That's what we want to look at, okay? Let that kind of be your metric to say, okay, this was a good rep, this was a bad rep, outside of simply how did it feel. If it's straight, you'll feel it in the right areas because at that point, it's a vector force, okay? So let's do it. Let's come to this. Matter of fact, I'm gonna do a start standing, just so you can see how the flow of it doesn't take you out. When you're going into your hip hinge, you want to make sure we're only moving at the hip. Try to really reduce the amount of pushback at the ankles, and that's gonna let your butt go back. Okay, so just reaching up. And what you would notice is my hands are hitting in the exact same place every time. If I was doing this bilaterally, they will always find themselves because they're equidistant. that same distance. So that pull is really getting the mechanics of the reciprocal mechanics of the torso it's getting active. That's going to aid us in our walking gait. That's going to aid us in our running when we're trying to run fast, or just when we're jogging. That's going to aid us in carrying load, our carries. There's not many movements that's better than a carry in an upright position. So these hip hinge swimmers, they're really you can. I would go so far as to say that they really activate some primal reflexes like crawling and rolling. It's that significant on what it can do for overall motor function. Because where I was once standing here, just not thinking about it, now I'm here and at this it's in my sub-level of consciousness all the time that's helping me maintain posture. Something so simple, it's like saying the right words in a spell. It's not like magic. It is magic, eternally rhetorical. How do you move? I will catch you next time. Check out the Movement Master database for any new movements that have been added. I'll try to update you. But in the meantime, try these out. Let me know what you think. See you in the comments.